Hi, I'm Ken Jr. and welcome to Train World TV. Here you'll find the latest and greatest in model trains. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new to our channel, we're glad you're here, and I invite you to click the subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you'll never miss a video. Now, we'd also love to send you exclusive deals and special announcements that you won't find anywhere else. So be sure to sign up for our emails, TW Text, and stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Now, you can find all the links in the description box below or trainworld.com. And without further ado, enjoy today's video.
All right, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thomas Tuesday. And sorry for the postponement in Thomas Tuesday. It's supposed to be the first Tuesday of every month, but Ken Jr. likes to forget a lot of things. So we apologize about last week. And I know I drive Christian crazy sometimes, but he is all able and always up for the task. So we appreciate Christian's valiant efforts, and I'll let Christian take over for now because he put this whole thing together, and we appreciate his efforts as usual. So we'll let him introduce everyone he brought on and all the good stuff he has in store for everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken. So yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in on the second Tuesday of this month, February 2024. We apologize for the small technical difficulties as Ken, this is the second time this has happened, man. You posted another event on Thomas Tuesday of all events.
You know what's even funnier? Last night, I came up in a cold sweat. I woke up and I was having a nightmare that I told you yes today, and today was Valentine's Day. and I thought I was going to have to tell my wife that I'm doing a Thomas Tuesday on Valentine's Day. And
One day away, Ken. One day away.
I didn't know whose heart to break, yours or my wife's.
Wife would come first.
Definitely.
I don't know. Christian is pretty tough on me.
No, of course. Romantics come before. Absolutely. But yes, Ken, we are back for yet another great stream this evening. Super pumped to have Blake, DCC Sodor, here with us, who is a master at DCC. In fact, he went to Penn State, a great school, to study electrical engineering. So he knows all the ins and outs of DCC and wiring and electronics. Blake, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How is everyone here?
Hey, Blake.
Fantastic. And we've got people from all over the world tuning in this evening. I know someone from over in Japan is actually watching this at the moment, Ken, as I informed a cousin, of mine over my mother's side of the family, to tune in this evening because he's very fascinated with Thomas as well as DCC. So he's really looking forward to seeing Blake's DCC models in particular. So that's fantastic. And the man of the hour, as always, Doug Blaine from Bachmann Trains, always showing the latest reveals from the Bachmann Thomas line. How are you this evening?
Just doing great, thank you. Great to be with everyone, and thanks for having me on the show. It's always much appreciated.
Fantastic. But yeah, Ken, we've got lots and lots of stuff to show this evening. It's February, and the Bachmann 2024 catalog will be out soon too, so I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing that. But I think, as always, we will hit it off to Blake, DCC Sodor.
Wait.
Well, something else?
We got a big raffle tonight.
We do.
Big.
Whoa.
big raffle. So
Now, just so you folks know, this is a surprise to me too. Ken didn't even tell me about this. So
yeah. So we got a return, and we tested the engine. It's perfectly fine, but the person didn't realize that it didn't come with track or transformer. So that was the reason for the return. But it's a little nicked up on the box, but we tested it and it is working perfect. So we are going to do a nice raffle on this. And Christian, I'm not sure if you want to think of a question or we just do a nice raffle on it, and we let them put in a, I guess.
Ken, this is a very, very significant raffle right here. So we're gonna have to come up with a good question for this.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. One that's not right off the bat easy to get.
And just while Christian's thinking, this is the James G scale engine. So it's going to work on G scale track, and it could go outdoors or indoors, and really cool. You could probably do some nice custom weathering or whatever you want to soup this up.
Okay, I got my question, Ken.
Okay, what is it?
So James is notoriously known for having trouble with trees. So my question is, what season was that particular episode from, and what day was that episode released? You have to know the month and the year.
You are making it tough, Christian.
Put it in the chat.
Harder. And we're probably heading over to the wiki right now, trying to get there as fast as possible.
So we see a lot of season 5s, but you asked two questions, so you got to do 2 answers in one.
What day was the episode released?
So can you say the 2 questions again, Christian?
Okay. So what season was James notoriously known for having trouble with trees? And what's the specific day that episode was released?
I'm
starting to see the correct answer, Ken.
I think this was easy. When you first started asking the question, I thought you were going to say, how many trees did he have trouble with?
Too easy, Ken. We're dealing with the legacy fans here.
And just for the benefit of Blake, I will say that we do have a large-scale sound module that could be installed in large-scale James at some point for the ambitious electrical engineer or anyone who so desires. It would require some customization, but the large-scale sound module is available.
Very cool.
That's great.
And poor James.
Yeah, and the locomotive would need a speaker as well.
And poor James, they didn't know he needed track to go with. A perfectly beautiful engine.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing a lot of correct answers now, Ken, in the chat. So it's going to be interesting picking out a winner.
Okay.
I didn't even know this one. I knew the season. I couldn't have told you what day it was released, though.
There we go. It is September 18th, 1998. Yes.
I want to know, does anybody fact check Christian?
If you don't trust me, Ken, you can go to the fans.
That's right. That's right. We need what on X they have the the new public comments or whatever, or verified comments. We need a Christian verified Thomas fact. Very cool.
I'm all for it.
All right. Charlie fact checked. Very good. All right.
Good.
Very cool. All right. So with that, we'll let them keep on rolling in. And Blake, if you want to start giving it a roll.
All right.
Yeah. So Blake, thank you. And I know I was going to throw a few questions right off the bat as always. Mm-hmm. So please tell us, what got you into Thomas initially? How old were you when you were first introduced? We always want to hear the original story before going into the current projects.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. So I would have been probably about 2 years old when I first got introduced to Thomas. I got one of the combination VHS tapes that had a wooden train and then the VHS tape underneath. So I can't remember the name of it now. And I like looked it up and I was like thinking, I got to remember this, but I don't. It's the VHS tape that came with Peter, Sam and the Refreshment Lady and Bulldog and a bunch of different sing-along songs. And the add-on train was Sir Handel. It was the original wooden Sir Handel. So I'm really looking forward to narrow gauge Sir Handel.
Coming out in 2024 or 2025, Doug? One of the two.
To be determined.
Okay.
Okay. But that was my introduction, and it kind of, as with most of us, it snowballed from there. I have way too many wooden trains still to even count, and I have pretty much everything that Bachmann has released, at least in HO scale. I think I'm missing a couple of the buildings that were like the first run of buildings, like maybe that Sodor Junction. But otherwise, I may be a little crazy, but I have everything.
Amazing. Cool. And those buildings, you're referring to like the Sodor scenery from the plastic bill line, right?
Yes.
Way back in the original days. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few of those too on my layout, like the water tower and the coaling tower. Yeah, those are nice too. It's like bringing in a little bit of American style with the British aesthetic of Thomas, which is unique. I think it's a cool line.
It is. It's really cool.
Nice. And tell us, like, what inspired you to continue on with Thomas? Like now as a young adult, now with an electrical engineering degree. I mean, that is something incredible right there.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. So I just kind of like never lost the interest of it. Like I just loved Thomas and I enjoyed the original stories. I mean, I probably have more hours watching those still in my 20s than I do from whatever other TV shows are on nowadays that I really like to watch. So I think it's just the model work and the timelessness of the stories are definitely something that always stuck with me. So it kind of just snowballed from there. And, you know, you get the electric train set. My first Bachmann set was the James with the blue open wagon, the fuel tanker, and the brake van. I got that when I was 5. And
that's an original.
Yeah, it's I still have the box around here somewhere. And I still, the original James is right behind me. I'll show it off later.
When we get there.
So it kind of snowballed from there, and my dad is also into model trains, so we got a DCC system probably 10 years ago at this point, maybe even a little longer. And we have N scale stuff, and the N scales was so easy because a lot of it's that drop in and just run along. And a couple of years ago, I was like, man, we should put the DCC in all my HO stuff. And I did it with Thomas, and I was like, this makes everything so much cooler. And it's gone from there, and it's built on itself. Then I added the DCC sound, and I have the custom sound files that I work on, and it just like keeps going and going, and I don't know when it's ever going to stop.
Amazing. And just right off the bat, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but do the engines still have moving eyes even with the decoders added?
So some of them I have removed the moving eyes just to be able to better fit the decoders. Some will still have them. It's kind of a mixed bag. So
I have to imagine that's a lot of stuff inside the boiler now, right? So.
It is. But there's still surprisingly a lot of room. Everybody always is like on forums. I've seen people say, "Oh, there's not enough room to do that." And nah, there's plenty of room. You can go ahead and jam as much wires as you want into there, and somehow everything just fits.
Fantastic. And would you say that some of the electronics of model railroading altogether it inspired you to study electrical engineering too?
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a big thing. And so at Penn State, there's actually a model railroad club, and I was kind of like I helped a lot of my friends up there with a lot of their DCC work. If they needed help, I'd get a message maybe at like 3:00 in the morning. I'd be sound asleep, and they'd be like, "Hey, can you help me with this engine when we next meet up?" And I like, "Yeah, sure." So that like kept me going through. It was one of those things that like it was still my interest of electronics, but it was enough of a break from the studying and the homework and the tests and the exams to just enjoy myself and have a lot of fun with friends and get to do things I love.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Awesome. So shall we get into the models?
Yeah, let's get into them.
Awesome.
All right, so since we started off with James and the raffle, I'll show off my work in progress James model that I've been working on for a long time. I don't have the tender done, so I'm just going to show off the front end here with the locomotive portion with the separately fitted handrails. This is a custom paint job on here as well with the bright glossy finish. Hopefully I see why Doug has problems with this. I'm still having problems myself. This is a 3D printed face. I don't remember who designed this, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. But I think this brings this way a lot of character to James. And then this dome here is also a fully brass dome I got off of Shapeways, and it really pops, especially in person. I also have a separately fitted whistle that is also brass. And then this is another 3D printed part. This is just a television series style lamp. And it does work. And I can show some of that off later. And I'll show the back here because maybe you can see that. I've got some connectors in here. So James's tender actually holds the speaker. And it also holds a red tail light when I get to that point. But unfortunately, when you're in your 20s, you got a lot of things going on. So you got socializing and hanging out with your friends and work. And so sometimes you plan to do something and it just doesn't get done. But I definitely will be showing this off. So if you have Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, I have all three of those. So definitely check out DCC Sodor on all three of those platforms. And you can see updates on this guy, as well as plenty of the other models that I'm going to show off behind me.
Fantastic.
Rexecutions, that's who made that face. Thank you. All right. So next is kind of a double whammy. This is not, both of these are DCC. They're not DCC in sound, but this is the ever elusive Arian Burt. Which one is which? Don't ask me. But I've done some custom weathering on these and kind of tried to make them look like the television series. I've also added, if you can kind of see there, here, I've got a little hole there. These also have lights. Many of my models, not all of them yet, but that's something I'm working through in the future, is getting all of my models to have working lights and sounds. So let's also show off Burt a little bit. Burt's weathering is a little bit different. I've got some rust patches on the back. These have also been given matte finishes, and there's even a little bit of weathering on the chassis as well, if the lighting will cooperate with me and show that. So that's Arian Burt, still kind of the CGI faces. I'd like to get some more model series-esque faces. Like Christian, I love the model series, so anytime I can upgrade the faces to, although I have to admit that even the CGI faces are pretty cool, but I grew up with the model series, so definitely want to get some model series faces for these guys. Next is another diesel engine that I'm very proud of. This is Diesel. So Diesel is another engine. He's got a light here, and then I've also added a 3D printed tail light here. It's black, so it is hard to see. But Diesel is DCC and sound. So I'll get into the sound a little bit. I use ESU Loc sound decoders, and I use this little guy right here called the Loc programmer. Let me see if I can get that. So with ESU decoders, you can upload your own sounds and all kinds of custom sound files. You can customize if you have American models or whatever you have. You can customize sound files, add your own. So Diesel uses, ESU has their own class 08 sound file, and then I add in sounds from the television series. So Diesel has the correct horn. He has some lines from the show. I believe I used Michael Angelis for Diesel. I thought he was a pretty good, I always thought he was a pretty good Diesel voice. Either Michael Angelis or George Carlin. I can't remember now. Yes.
Both are great. Both are great.
Yes, both are great. This was an original Devious Diesel. I do have the Grumpy Diesel somewhere. Like I said, I had to get everything. So that Diesel was given a matte finish and a little bit of, you can see he's got a little bit of gloss here. I used a weathered black paint that was actually called weathered black, and it's kind of like, it doesn't have like a regular like wet paint consistency. It was a little thicker, but it wasn't like your Walmart acrylic paint thick. So it just kind of sticks, and it gives a little bit of interest to otherwise just flat black Diesel. And I really like the way that it came out, and I'm really happy with the way the little bit of contrast it gives. There's also some fuel stains, which you can kind of see there. So that's Diesel. Next, we're going to go on to one that I haven't shown off since we're sticking with Diesels. This is Paxton. Paxton is just standard DCC. He uses a Digitrax DZ123. Paxton is also nice and weathered. So I'm pretty proud of that. He also has a working light. And I did some modification to the face. I know that this has been kind of popular to do, is kind of give him a little bit more of a forehead. So just to make him look a little bit more like the CGI version of Paxton, although the face from Bachmann is pretty good as it is. I just went that little extra mile. So there's Paxton. There's a little bit of the weathering on the side. Let's see if I can get some of it. Yeah, that's better. And then on the back, he's got some little splotches as well. And Paxton is probably one of my favorite CGI characters other than Hero. So I was super happy to do this one. And Paxton is next on my list for DCC and sound. And finally, I'll just show her off because everybody loves Daisy. Daisy has an ESU Loc sound decoder in her as well, and I'll probably take a few minutes if I can to show off some of her sounds. She uses a Bud RDC file. So if anyone who's from America might know the Bud RDC as one of the most, well-known rail diesel cars in the United States. So other than that, the only thing I did was take the front coupler off of Daisy. But I had to show her off because who doesn't love Daisy? Okay, so next we're going to get into some of my steam engines that I'll show off here. So this is Rosie. Rosie, we'll zoom in here. She's she's got some crew figures in her. And the reason I did that is I actually added a firebox flicker to her. The open cab made it a no-brainer that I had to try it. So there's a little hole drilled in her cab here, and when I set her on the track and power up the layout, I'll get to show off the flickering effect. Then I've also added another 3D printed light, and then I drilled a hole on the other side, so she's got a lamp iron on the other side as well. Other than that, Rosie is pretty stock standard. She is DCC and sound. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to Edward. So Edward is one of my most recent ones. I really like this earlier season 1-ish, 2-ish face of Edward. I'm getting that right, Christian, right?
I think so, yeah. It definitely
Okay.
looks more 80s like to me.
Yeah, so Edward, other than that, I took the front coupler off. I just for a lot of my engines, like Salty, Bill, and Ben, they all keep their front couplers because they're shunters. But for engines like Edward, if I'm using him as a banker, he doesn't need a front coupler because I want him to be able to release from the train easily. But underneath, he's got some wires. So Edward is also DCC in sound. I use some TCS plugs that this is a 4-wire micro connector. And TCS makes a ton of great DCC accessories as well. So this is perfect for a lot of my installs I use. I've upgraded many of mine that I've tried to make custom ones and save a little bit of money. And sometimes it's just easier to go with what's already mass produced out there. So Edward has speaker, a decoder, and what's called a keep alive in the tender. So a keep alive is a big capacitor, which a capacitor basically just stores electric charge. So this is what we call it. We call this a super capacitor. And what this will do is, if I were running Edward, I could actually pick him up off the tracks and he would keep moving. For my purpose, I use Kato Unitrack on my layout, and it has plastic frogs, and Edward's wheels are so close together that he will short out sometime, or not short out, he will cut out on the switches. So I do have to, so that was kind of a necessary add, but it's good for, maybe you have some dirty track and you don't have to clean it. You don't have to clean them as often. That's one of the biggest advantages to keep alives. So we'll go with Edward, and real quick, I got motion lights and they like to turn off on me when I sit down for too long. So next I'm going to talk with, I've got 2-in-1. So this is Toby and Henrietta. So Toby has a light and a regular Digitrax decoder in him. So if we can kind of see there, you can see it's almost like he's got a hole, but he does have a little lens in there that I don't remember who makes it, but there's a little glue that creates lenses. And so on the front and back, he's got lighting. And then Henrietta, let's see if I can get inside there. You might be able to see there's actually wires in there. So Henrietta actually holds the sound decoder for Toby. So Henrietta makes all the chuffs, all the bell ringing, Toby's whistle. She has voice lines and Toby has voice lines, and they all come from Henrietta. And I use these special power pickups on the bottom, which are also from ESU. And I actually super glued them, which now I'm not sure that I really like that idea, but it works. And it does good to pick up power from these wheels. And then Henrietta has a keep alive added to her decoder as well, so that there's less chance of the sound cutting out. So that's Toby. We got 2 more of just this is what I've got. So this one of my favorites. This is one of my first DCC and sound installs, actually. This is Henry. So Henry has got a model series face as well, by Rexecutions. Right now, Henry does retain his moving eyes, which maybe makes the pupils look a little sunken in, but it's not bad, and I think the effect still works. On the bottom, he's got a connection. So the decoder for Henry is actually in his cab, or not his cab, is in his firebox, and then the speaker for Henry is in the tender. And I've actually drilled holes in the top of the tender in the cola, and they're really hard to see, which is good. But maybe in the light you might be able to get a few of them, and that helps to get the sound out pretty easily. And then lastly, we're going to move on to my favorite character, and that is Gordon the Big Engine. So Gordon has pretty much always been my favorite character. So I definitely had to go all out for him. So Gordon also has a firebox flicker effect in him. He has the kind of British Railways Express head code, kind of CGI-esque, but they did that plenty of times in the models, so I had to go with it. On the bottom, he still has some of my old style homemade connectors, which I need to work on replacing. But Gordon actually has everything in his tender. So he has a decoder, a speaker, and the keep alive, I believe. But he might only have the keep alive and the speaker. But I'm actually going to take Gordon's tender apart, and I'll kind of show you a little bit of how it works. I'm going to have a little screwdriver here. I'll take a minute here just to get them apart.
So for all the viewers, if you ever try this in the future, you know to come back to this video if you ever attempt this.
I will say, I'm sorry to plug my YouTube channel again, but I do have plenty of videos on my YouTube channel of DCC installations. If you're looking for non-sound sound, you're pretty much, they're very similar when you get one done. So I have a few on a couple different engines. Don't remember quite off the top of my head. But we're going to pull this apart here. So yes, this just has the keep alive and the speaker in it, but I wanted to show this off because this is a large ESU power pack. I usually use the smaller ones. This is, I believe they call this a maxi, and I usually use the minis. But most of my engines, I use custom 3D printed speaker housings. So this is just kind of this is just really just a column. But you can, 3D printing is great for something like this. You can customize, like I've been working on one that actually fits all over this weight. So the screws, these little posts in Gordon's tender will fit down over top of the speaker. And the bigger the baffle is, the better the sound is, the deeper, the more bass you get, and just the higher quality it is. So for now, that's all I really wanted to show with the engines. I know Christian wanted me to do a couple different things on my layout. So if you're ready, unless anyone has any questions from the chat or anything, if not, I'll go ahead and do a little DCC demo for you. All right. So for that, Ken, I'm going to need that second camera up.
Got it.
All right. Let me get the... Oops. Let me flip. That looks better. That's what we all want to see, some trains, right?
There we go.
Okay. So I use, for those who may be wondering, I use the NCE system. So right now, this is the NCE power cab, and I also have what's called a smart booster. And of course, everything that I'm talking about in this video, you can pick up from Train World. The smart booster gives about 5 amps of current, which I'd say each locomotive does about half an amp or so. That's a good take. That's a good give and take. So that means you can run about 10 locomotives on your layout. Now, what I'm specifically going to do here, if I select locomotive 101, should see one of these guys try to trip into life. All right. DCC is also definitely more susceptible to track power. So as we can see here, I'm running Bill, but Ben is not going anywhere. And yes, just like one good turn. That is my that was my thought of that one. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a consist. And what a consist does is it brings 2 locomotives together. And so, like, on an American style train, you might have 5 or 6 locomotives together. You would put them all together, and then you can run your train, and all the engines will run at a set speed. So in this case, I am running these two together, and I'm going to run them in reverse, and they should fight each other. Yeah. So that's kind of the beauty of DCC, although Ben is being, yeah, there we go. Now they're kind of fighting each other. So that is the beauty of DCC, is you can run your trains instead of running your layout. Mm-hmm. So I recommend that everyone at least, think about this, give it a try. It's a pretty fun hobby, and it makes, it's kind of a hobby within the hobby itself. Especially if you're doing DC, like something like this, where all of my engines have custom sound files, that definitely makes it a lot of extra work. And some people maybe you just want to put their trains on the track and run them. So that's why it's not so bad just using these silent decoders from Digitrax, NCE, TCS.
That's a good saying. I like that. You could run your trains instead of running your layout, or your layout running you. That's good.
Yeah,
I will say I didn't come up with that. I heard that somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Blake, I was going to ask, with the Bill and Ben models, are there sounds in those in particular?
There are not. These
there are not
at
yet.
the moment just use regular decoders. Yes.
I was just going to say, because I think your phone right now is muted. So if you wanted to showcase any noise or sound effects at some point, your phone mic, I think, is off.
Okay. I probably will, and then I'll mute this one so we don't get an echo.
Okay. Sounds good.
Then the next thing I wanted to show off is the Keep Alives. So if I take Bill and Ben off, I'll kind of put them around the turntable here. I'll get our pal Thomas out, because I might know that I didn't show Thomas off. Thomas, I've been waiting for the DCC and sound ones from Bachmann. I know it's been taking a while, and of course, understandably so. But I am going to show Thomas. This my Thomas has lights on him in the front and in the back, so you can kind of see the red light flickering off my hand there. So if I pick him up, Thomas actually still works, and his lights stay on. So Thomas has a TCS KAM4 decoder in him. So I'll actually pick him up, and you can see that he still works. Cool. So this was perfect for the Penn State Model Railroad Club's layout, because there were some points in the track where it wasn't completely perfect. We're a university club, we're learning. So we're trying to understand track work, and there were definitely some points where we needed to tear up track, and we did that quite a few times. But Thomas was kind of that easy Band-Aid to make sure that when we would do a layout showcase or something, that we knew he was going to work, because he had that Keep Alive. He had such a big Keep Alive. This Thomas will run for 2 minutes if I let him charge all the way. So it's pretty incredible. And it just shows that there's always innovation in this hobby too, because these decoders keep getting smaller and the Keep Alives keep getting smaller, but the runtime keeps getting larger and larger. So that's the Keep Alives. I do have a couple other engines on the layout if anybody wanted to see those run.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to mute this mute myself here. All right. Okay. That should be, can you guys still hear me on the phone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to select 12. So we've got Emily on the inside loop. And if I turn her on, so if anybody recognizes that, that was from the episode Dowager Hat's Busy Day in CGI. And can get her going here. Let's give her a little. And then we're also going to get one more running. She's in the back. He's in the back right now, I should say. All right. He's coming around the corner now. He takes a. Whoops. Almost had a disaster there. Didn't realize that switch was thrown. All right.
Who was going to get smashed in the roundhouse if she kept going?
She would have just smashed into the back of the shed.
Okay.
All right. All right, we've got our next engine coming around the corner here.
Suspense is real. Oh, there he is.
Yes. The nice thing about DCC that I personally really enjoy is that the engines run at much more realistic speeds. You can get them to run fast, but I prefer them to run at the slower speeds. So I'll get these. Oh, I forgot to mention one other thing. I'm going to let Ryan come around one more time, and I'm going to show one last model off that I'm really proud of this one. It took a lot of troubleshooting. So let me let Ryan come around fast here. And this one is, you might have seen it on the back of his train if you had a good eye.
Cool.
All right. So if you can see, you might be able to just see inside the brake van here, but I'm actually going to take it off the track. It's this one has a lit interior. Let's see if that'll focus on me.
Oh, cool.
So this is the Spiteful brake van. This uses an NCE lighted decoder and just a little set of capacitors. And then this one, I double-sided taped the wheel wipers to it. But this is another just like quick, easy thing that really, once I figured it out, it didn't take too long to do. And
How'd you do it if the wheels are the wheels plastic or metal?
these are these are metal wheels.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't.
Can we see the underneath again?
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Very neat.
Yeah.
And so there's like little wipers that touch the wheel to get the power from it.
Yes. Yeah. Just
Wow.
like a. So these are also the ESU wipers that I used on Henrietta.
Wow.
Just like a locomotive, they all have like a normal Thomas and Friends model. They all have those wiper style pickups on the wheels. This is just the same concept.
Very cool.
Well, the lights inside the Spiteful brake van ought to cheer up his spirits.
Well, we'll see. We hope. We hope, right? All right. Let me get Emily going again here. There we go.
So just as a reminder, the primary system you use is NCE. for this?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, nice.
So, if you're ready, I think that was about. There were some other ones, and maybe I'll stop Ryan here, and I'll show off a couple of the other engines that I wanted to show some sounds from.
Awesome.
Blake, I don't know if it was planned, but I would definitely like to see some the flickering firebox you said you had on Blake and Gordon, or not Blake, Rosie and Gordon. If you could show one of those off or both, I'd love to see that.
Yes, Rosie is right here. I will show her off. And Rosie is number 37. So she'll play her lights and sounds, and hopefully, I got it. So there's the.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh wow, cool.
Wow.
Nice.
So I was pretty proud of this one. It was a long shot, but it worked out really well, and I'm really pleased with the effect of it.
That looks awesome.
Thank you.
She sounds great too.
Thank you. Yeah, these are a lot of these new models. I think my first one I did back in 2021. And last year I got a resin 3D printer, and it really, I mean, that's just like you just turn it on and it goes and it prints everything. So it's super easy to print out speaker housings for these. So a lot of these engines do use just 3D printed speaker housings. And it's a really quick and easy way to make your models sound really good. The next one, I'll show off Daisy here. I'm really happy with Daisy as well. One, two. Okay. So Daisy. Hopefully you can, let me set her a little bit forward. So Daisy, like I said, she uses the RDC file. And I believe I actually have 2 sets of, oh, that was all right. Did something there. Okay, I might have messed her up. Technical difficulties. So sometimes when you program CVs, it will stop the engine, and I thought I had so I have 2 different horns in Daisy. A lot of sound files, they actually program multiple horns into it because a lot of different railroads use different horns. So Daisy has her classic series horn and her CGI series horn. But for some reason, I guess I got the CV wrong, so I'll have to go in. And the nice thing about the Loc programmer is everything is saved onto your computer. So a DCC decoder has, I've mentioned it, CVs. Each of those controls something in your locomotive. So like the address or the speed at which it accelerates, they're all controlled by these CVs. So the nice thing is the Loc programmer has a file that stores all of that. So you just put it on your programming track and reload the sound files, and everything works again. So if you make a mistake like this, it's real easy to fix. But shows that we're not all perfect, right?
Blake, you said I think Rosie had address number 37. I don't know if that corresponds with anything specific, but how many DCC locomotives have you made? Have you equipped?
So Rosie's 37, Alex, is the number that they gave her when they painted her red in the TV show. So that's why I chose that number. How many have I equipped? That's I don't know if I want to think about that because that's a lot of money spent. I have equipped almost my entire Thomas fleet. So if that
Wow.
gives you at least a reference, and then I have quite a few American locomotives. So I'm also we'll just I am a huge Union Pacific fan, but of course we'll keep this all Thomas. So I'll get Ryan running again, and let's take a look at the layout a little bit. So let me get my camera off the tripod here, and we'll go into handheld mode. So this is kind of right now, Tidmouth Sheds is the centerpiece of my layout. I'm debating on how I want to restructure this, because if you can kind of see back there, we'll get to it, but I do have a narrow gauge piece of track right now, and I'd like to expand that to be able to run my narrow gauge engines, because all of except for Yellow Rheneas, all of my narrow gauge engines are also DCC, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So Peter Sam, I originally tried a sound decoder in, but he was just a little too small for that. So here's at least a lineup to say, hey, I do have the narrow gauge on, because this is what I remember when this came out. I think I did a somersault. I was so excited. But so I'm using Knapford Station as kind of the transfer between standard and narrow gauge at this point. And that's the plan for the layout as I decide how I want to move Tidmouth Sheds and where I want to put that. But that's, layouts are never finished. So, and this one is no exception. Right now, it's just got I believe this is actually a Bachmann grass, like the Scenescapes grass mat. This is probably 15 years old at this point. I also didn't show off Spencer. I'll at least show him. He is also DCC and sound, and he's got some extra lights on. This one, for some reason, is falling over, so I'll have to fix that. I've also got the operating windmill, which this is just adds so much life to your layout. Just that little bit of motion.
Yeah.
And then around here, so we've got around the back, and here's the inside loop that goes through Knapford Station. And then this is an expansion that I did last year on the layout, maybe 2 years ago now. This is Brendam Docks. So obviously you have to have Salty, you have to have Cranky, and you have to have a working light.
We need some sand by the lighthouse.
I agree. That's it. That's in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can do it, and you can do what I did and go to your local playground and steal stem.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about that. I don't even think my local playgrounds use sand anymore. I think they're all that rubber tire stuff anyways.
Come to Long Island. We're surrounded by beaches.
Oh yeah.
I do want to get up to Long Island. I want to go see Trainland in person.
That would be great. That would be great.
So
and for that narrow gauge track that you had there, was that the Pico narrow gauge track?
Yes, it is the Pico narrow gauge track.
It looks cool.
It does. It looks really good. And I actually went onto the site a couple of nights ago to try and order some more, and it was all gone. I could only find like a piece of straight track, and no curves left.
We just started carrying it, but it's very hard to get. But we'll be getting in a lot more in the next couple of months. So awesome. This way everybody could run their narrow gauge trains on it. Awesome.
Well, as I've been pointing out, this is one of probably my favorite building on the layout. We need more resin buildings. Excuse me. But this is Brendam Warehouse. You need to have that to have Brendam Docks as well. And this is a Walther's gasometer or gas storage tank, and I think this really, really works with Brendam Docks. I mean, in the later model series, they had one of these in the background, and like every time you were at Brendam. Another couple warehouses that I just added. This is this is actually a kit my dad built back in the day, and Walther still makes this. I think it's called like the Water Street Freight Terminal, maybe. And then this is a gantry crane, rolling gantry crane. So that's pretty cool too. I really like that one. That's also a Walther's kit. And then we've also got Oliver. So Oliver is not DCC and sound. He's just regular. I should say he is DCC. Everything is, but he is not DCC and sound. So it's pretty cool to watch. Another engine come by on a loop, and then have the other engines just standing still. There's Salty. So Salty is weathered up a little bit. Let me see if I can pick him up and at least kind of show that off a little bit.
Doug, I have to ask, how's the new Salty coming?
Salty has hit a snag, so we're still going to make it happen, but it's going to be later than we wanted. I don't have an exact date yet, but we got to work through an issue, but we'll get there.
All right. Okay. Don't be salty about it.
I'll try not to. We got quipsters here. I love it. That's great.
Just to point it out, there's some more resin buildings. That's the trackside station, which will go with the narrow gauge once I get to that. So as for the HO layout that I have, that is it. I do have over here this little N-scale double helix.
Oh, wow.
And I'm actually going to have to stop DCC here for a second and unplug my controller. If I can get it. Okay. So I've now unhooked my power cab, and because of the way I have my system set up, it will still run. If you just have a normal power cab, that will not work. So a little story behind this double helix. This was actually given to my uncle, who is a huge N-scaler, by a friend. Our friend. No. Why can't I get this out right? A wife's. No, it was a friend's wife. There we go. I got it. Sometimes you stumble over your words like that. So unfortunately, his friend passed away, but he wanted my uncle to have this layout. And my uncle didn't really have the room for it at the time. So he said, "Hey, do you want it?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? I'll run some N-scale stuff. I don't get to run... I'm kind of a secret N-scale fanatic as well. I don't know if that's like what you want to call that. Maybe a closeted N-scale fan. But I have way too much N-scale for my own good. But I had to get some of the N-scale Thomas stuff. I do have everything as well, but James is at least a good one to run on this layout here. So I had a bit of a technical issue before. He hit a bump and got stuck in one of these tunnels. So we're going to try and fight with him to see if he'll get moving on me. So James, all of my N-scale stuff is also DCC. So I went kind of crazy here. DCC crazy. And that's why my channel and my everything on the internet for me is DCC Sodor, because DCC is what's kind of reignited my love for the hobby. And
cool.
So see if I can get this running without any issues. See, it ran fine before until he derailed in the tunnel, and now he doesn't want to run. There we go. Well, that is one thing about DCC is you do have to keep your track really clean.
Does he have a keep alive in the N scale?
He does not.
Okay.
That was probably the toughest part.
would have been to try and get a keep alive inside of them.
What happens if they get stuck in the tunnel?
I make the trains long enough so I can at least push them out of the tunnel.
Smart.
What I usually do is I cut a hole at the bottom or on the side somewhere so I could stick my hand in, just in case that problem occurs.
Yeah, because those tunnels are too small for a hand to go through.
Yeah, these ones definitely are. Yep, James is speaking out there. So let's see if I can get him to make his way out. I got a little...
It's like you need a friendly mouse to push it in the
I know, right?
Despite the issues here, it's a really cool layout. Just the two sides for the helix with the bridge connecting. It's a great look and a very creative.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is. It's whoops.
Oh no.
See, it's finicky, but it is a great little layout, and I'm really happy that that it didn't get torn down, and I'm able to keep it going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You were telling me you brought this to train shows, right? And the fans couldn't get over it.
Yes, we have a local club that has a Christmas party every year, and we were able to bring it in last year, or I think it was last year or the year before. And everybody was like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And then we had some kids that were there. They were like, "Where's Thomas?" And at that time, I didn't have any N-scale Thomas stuff. And I'm like, "Oh man, now I gotta get some."
Oh yeah, and while we're on that note, Doug, oh my God, the amount of kids who are going over the Thomas stuff at Bachmann, at the booth at Indianapolis, oh my God.
It's a crowd pleaser.
Yes.
It certainly is.
And hopefully we inspire some new model railroaders. So that's the idea.
Definitely.
So Christian, how far do you think your runaway James tender would go on this layout?
Oh.
I may or may not have also tested that theory.
Another viral video in the making, maybe.
I can't beat Christians, though.
That was fun.
And completely random. I'll say it again. Not intentional, Ken. Just taking a break from filming, sent that to you, and somehow it got viral.
Viral. That's it.
I mean, now everyone can also see what sometimes the pains of N-scale can be. Is getting everything just right. But like I said, guilty pleasure, but a good one, right?
Absolutely.
I do have to say that I really think that the N-scale Thomas line is just, they're all beautiful. I really think that Bachmann did a great job on them.
Thank you. We'll keep them coming.
Doug, I got to say real quick, when I was in Indianapolis, I got a chance to hold the new Gordon model in the hand. Matt allowed me to do that. And I said, "Are you sure this is okay?" And he said, "Yes, you may hold it."
Of course.
I was blown away. I was blown away at those side rods. Completely.
Excellent.
Yes,
and I cannot wait to see that thing run.
Did you get any pictures at the booth, Christian?
Yeah, a few video clips. A funny one with Matt, which Doug, I think you might have seen.
Which is all good, all good.
Yes, and I'm just saying out there that was completely joking.
Christian, it's all good. Totally understood. You got to have fun.
That's what model railroading is about.
It's fun. Sorry, Blake, you were saying something?
I just said model railroading is all about fun.
Yeah,
if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
But yeah, Ken, to answer your question, I did get plenty of clips and pictures of the new products and such, which was fantastic.
We got to see them. We got to post some.
James ran out of shot a little bit, but I wanted to get a good shot of him because he really looks good. Yeah, let's just slide the camera over. It's a little out of focus. And it doesn't want to focus on me. But so that's the N-scale loop, and I hope you guys really like that.
One question on the helix, like did you measure the degree, or you just kind of like did it offhand and just kind of figured out like a certain level of each?
Yeah, it was kind of just done offhand. I would like to actually measure the degree. I know up top it does get a little steeper, but typically most of the rolling stock is pretty good at climbing.
Cool.
I would say that this is probably as much as you're going to get out of James. He is one of the stronger ones. But really, realistically, you don't really want a 10-car train trying to climb this thing.
Right. Very neat. Great job.
And I can't wait to see Gordon and the express coach just going up and down that. That's going to be a sight to behold.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to Gordon. He's on my list as one of the anticipation models for this year.
He'll be coming soon.
Awesome. I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. So I'm gonna run back over to my camera, my laptop here, and I'll shut this camera down.
Nicely done.
Really great job. Great job.
Blake, can you still hear us?
Oh, I think he's muted.
Yeah, he's got to get the other one going up.
Yes, I can still hear you.
There he is. Just before we leave your segment here briefly, could you just repeat again the importance of the sound chamber for getting good speaker performance as people do their DCC installations?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So a sound baffle is really important for good sound, because if you just lay the speaker flat, you're really not going to get anything. When you raise it up and when you have that enclosure, there's a lot of science behind it that I don't want to explain wrong, so I'm not going to explain it, but it's super important to have that enclosure because it gives you more depth to your sound, more bass, and just it actually will help to boost the volume as well. So you could have a small sugar cube speaks, and if you put a large enclosure on it, you can get sounds like my iPhone puts out incredible sound for how small the speakers are in it. So sound enclosures are really, if you're doing a DCC and sound install, a good sound chamber will make or break your install.
Yeah, it just gives you more air volume to vibrate. Yes. to help increase the volume. But it's also good you can experiment for placement of the speaker within the available space, and just changing the placement can also dramatically change the output that you get. So there's science and there's an art to it as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that is kind of will encourage people to think about where they put the speakers and try and get the best performance out of it that they can.
Yes, definitely.
Is that like kind of the same theory of like if you have your cell phone speaker on speaker sound, it comes out at one volume, but if you put it like in a cup holder, the sound kind of like adds that sound chamber and it makes it a little louder or amplifies it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say again, thank you for allowing me to come on and show off my stuff. It's been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Doug has in store for us tonight.
Yeah, and thank you, Blake, for really educating me and everyone viewing tonight about DCC. It just goes to show that there's so much involved, but at the same time, never be afraid to experiment and delve into these new challenges, because that's what makes the hobby fun and just enriches anyone's experience altogether. So
yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for elaborating on all that.
Yeah, I do want to say one last thing. If anybody ever has any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I am always happy to answer any questions. And if I don't know the answer, I will try to find out for you. And like Christian said, just jump into it. Sometimes it's you may think it's intimidating, but it's the best way to start is sometimes just to jump into it and try it. try new things. It makes things really exciting when you try something and you don't know what you're doing, at least for me.
Yeah, and Blake, you do really a great job teaching, and you have the patience and like really education, and your channel just proves it. And you're teaching so many different people about trains, model trains, DCC, and how to enjoy the hobby. So great job promoting the hobby. You're really doing a great job, and we truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And everybody out there says thank you.
I thank everyone out there.
Great job.
Doug, we ready for you?
Whenever you're ready.
All right.
All right.
Doug time.
All right. Sounds good.
Doug time.
That's great. Just a friendly reminder, I don't see the comments that are coming up unless Ken puts them up on the screen. So I don't see the rolling comments on my iPad for whatever reason. So anyway, here we go. This is just a quick review. I showed this last time, and I realized I'm wearing a black sweater, and I'm trying to show Henrietta here, but she will be coming. You can see a little bit against the black sweater. Face in there. So I wanted to show it again because Blake showed the lighted interior on his HO scale model.
Can you hold it up by your head?
Yep. Does that help against the
white
blinds?
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Yep, that's better. Maybe that'll be a DCC project for N scale, figuring out how to put things in Henrietta.
We lost you for a second.
Yeah.
We need a keep alive on your computer, Doug.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been cutting out a couple times during the whole presentation. I don't know if anyone else's was or just me. Anyway, so there's Henrietta in N scale. We saw her before, but now for the reveal for tonight, as Christian promoted, was our N scale painted sample of Emily. So I'm going to start with the caboose, or I'm sorry, the tender, and then we'll go from there. So I think this shows up better against the black sweater.
Yeah.
So here's the tender, all painted up. Beautiful, shiny paintwork there. What I'm particularly pleased about here is the space between the railings for the coal bunker. So I don't know if you can see the open spacing there on the railings. I'm really happy with the way that came out.
Yeah, that looks really good. I saw it at I saw this sample at Amherst.
Oh, that's right. You were at Amherst as well.
And I saw it at Indianapolis, and that too I got a chance to see up close.
Yeah, it's very
detailing of the railing is incredible.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Now, Doug, so Emily is coming as a train set and individual pieces?
Correct.
And the train set is with track and transformer as like a premium set?
Correct.
Got it.
Unlike that large scale Thomas or James locomotive, it comes with track and the power pack, locomotive, and 2 passenger cars.
There you go.
So there's Emily's tender, and here she is painted up.
Cool.
Very nice.
So there is one modification we need to make on her yet. And that is the lining over the single driving wheel here. I can't really point it out, but the yellow lining over this brown curve does not follow the brown curve properly. So that will be corrected. And I probably said this the last time I showed Emily, but the Stirling singles were not known in real life for having tremendous pulling power, and that would have applied to this model as well. But not only is the large drive wheel powered, but this first, the first wheel of the leading truck is also powered. So that's a geared wheel, as is the large driving wheel. So that will help with her pulling power, and she does very well. So I'm just going to turn around here again. See everything. Of course, the windows go through to the cab. I have to try and show that. There we go. You can see it against the shirt that they go through.
Cool.
Very nice.
So that's our painted sample. So if you see the painted sample, we're making good progress. I don't have a delivery date on her yet, but she's coming. So now I'm going to put them all together, put her together, and I'll try and do. Let's see if I don't want to drop her. And then I'll get one of her cars behind her.
Awesome.
All right. There we go. I don't think I'm going to get. I also have the brake van here, but I don't think I'm going to be able to hold all of them without doing some serious damage to something.
We don't want to see any of those get damaged.
No. We can't have that. So there's the brake van too.
Very neat.
Very nice.
So that's Emily in N scale, and yeah, that could be another interesting DCC project as well.
She will be. Don't worry.
Okay, sounds good. So
Cool.
that's it for our reveal, and we'll have more for you at our next Thomas Tuesday. We're starting to get some things in for 2024 that we're going to be excited to show you as well.
That's awesome. And was anything announced at Amherst show or Indianapolis?
Nothing new there. We are going to have a bit of a catch-up year this year.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of product announcements that we haven't actually delivered on yet, so we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So nothing new was announced at Amherst or at the last show in Indianapolis.
Okay. Sounds good. Cool stuff.
All right, so that's it. Short and sweet from me tonight.
Very nice. That Emily looks really beautiful. I think that's going to be a hit.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. So I am very pleased with her. So now we've got her in large scale, HO scale, and now N scale as well.
Very neat.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
So Christian, you saw this as well at the show, right?
I did, yes, and I also got to hold it. Again, the fine detailing of the tender, as well as the open spokes in the wheels, especially caught my eye at that scale. And I was telling Matt again that I think this is the first ready-to-run Sterling single, so there may be some UK modelers out there who take the model and convert it to the real life basis.
Wow.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And if you're liking Emily, we are taking pre-orders on separately and as a train set. So if you like all three pieces, you're pretty much better off getting a whole set. Bachmann makes it really attractive at a good price point, and I believe it comes with track and transformer, right, Doug?
Absolutely.
That's great. And then you got actually shout out to Matt Stern. He was able to get me some new pictures. We just uploaded these N scale, the Emily's coaches and brake coach. And then this is the Emily, if you're just looking for Emily separately. So we're taking pre-orders on her, but really neat stuff. I got to see if there's a new picture on the set, but really cool stuff. We're taking pre-orders, and a lot of people excited about that, as well as N Scale Henrietta. We are taking pre-orders, and we're taking pre-orders now. So that's N Scale Henrietta, and as Doug was kind enough to share tonight. So tonight's announcements or reveals for updates was Emily and Henrietta, both in N scale. So it's an N scale night, and we're taking some nice pre-orders on those.
Amazing.
Excellent. Always thanks for your support at Train World, Ken. Always.
You guys make it a pleasure, and thank Bachmann for going to these shows. They did such a great job at the Amherst Train Show and Indianapolis. It really is a lot of work to do these shows, and Bachmann definitely takes a lot of time, effort to really put on a beautiful display showing off all their products. And when I say all their products, I mean every single scale, line, piece. It's so many products to bring. So they really do a great job, and they send a great team of knowledge and staff to go with at the shows. So kudos to Bachmann for being out there and promoting the hobby.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much, Doug. And just for some of the questions in the comments, the one question I'm seeing, is there a time frame as to when the 2024 catalog will be released?
It should be, I would say, within the next, probably next 10 days to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Very cool. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
All right, Christian. Well, why don't you wrap it up? And thank you,
All right.
Christian, for putting this together. You're doing a great job.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I wouldn't be possible without you, Ken, or really any of the guests with such talent and skill and knowledge. And this stream in particular was no exception, because Blake, I mean, I know for a fact, like most Thomas folks probably don't know the level of knowledge that you know. I mean, myself included, about DCC and decoders and implementing this stuff. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on tonight and really educate, again, the audience about DCC. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I have no words. I just super happy with the audience, what the audience has thought about it. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come on as well. I'm always happy to educate on things I'm passionate about. And I do want to say one thing: go to train shows. Train shows are so much fun and super important, especially the Amherst show. I actually got to meet Ken. I don't know if you remember me, but I did get to meet you with my buddy Max. And so shout out to him too. He's a great guy. And we, and especially the Amherst show, it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Even though it happens every year, they support such a good cause with all the donations that they make. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah. It truly was an amazing show, and it's like a blur. You meet so many people there, and actually I saw a good amount of Thomas fans there. They were really excited, and
Great.
Even when we were filming at the we were with Matt filming for we still haven't published it yet, but hopefully this week we'll publish the Amherst full video, and we have a whole big Bachmann segment, and a lot of Thomas fans were kind of excited to talk with us, and while we were filming, so it was pretty neat. And
you had an audience, in other words.
That's right. But it was amazing, just so many people there, and the Thomas fandom has grown so much, and it's incredible. And with the support of Bachmann really at the forefront of propelling the hobby with Thomas, it's been a huge kind of like a big phenomenon in model trains, and kind of just a real uprising in they're starting out with Thomas, then getting into real model train or different kind of model trains. And so it's really fun and neat to see the transition and the growth of the hobby and the growth of individuals. Christian, from where he started with the train set to where he is now as a modeler, it's just you can see the evolution. So it's pretty cool.
And of those who have followed my YouTube channel, and Ken will probably do this in the future, Thomas Tuesday, here in Indiana, I've had the great opportunity to start an N-scale layout as my friend Ben, who's from China. Is not really familiar with model trains, and he was super intrigued to hear about what I do with Train World and my HO layout. And I was like, maybe we can maybe start a little N-scale layout. More on that in the new stream, but
Cool.
Basically, over where he is, they're not familiar with it as a hobby. Of course, a lot of things are made there, but they don't really collect them. But he's got family members and friends from back in this country who are really looking into now investing into the hobby. And I told them, please go to trainworld.com. and get whatever you can to get into the hobby. So
we got to start selling stock.
Are you going to be an IPO, Ken?
Yeah, Christian's going to start an investment fund for model trains at Train World.
I love it.
The good word, Christian.
promoting the hobby in any way I can, Ken.
There you go. Very cool.
But Doug, thank you again so much too for showing Scale Henrietta and the Scale Emily. And I know a lot of people are really excited to see the new reveals in the coming months as well for 2024. And again, I've said this in past streams, but it's clear with what I've seen in Indianapolis through these streams and social media altogether that the best days are yet to come for the Thomas line. I definitely see great days coming ahead for the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your kind words, Christian. On behalf of Bachmann, it's our pleasure. And as I always say, we will keep them coming.
Great. And Ken, thank you so much as always for giving me the opportunity to put these events together. It's always a great time. It gets stressful here over in Indiana at grad school. So when I see train shows, when I get a chance once a month to put together these streams, and now, again, to start an N-scale layout, it's nice to have, a little bit of an escape from time to time from all the stress of coursework and practicing and teaching and such. So I really appreciate having this opportunity to help out in any way I can.
We appreciate you being part of this, and you're the reason for this huge success. So we really appreciate it, Christian. And one thing I did forget to mention, when you're pre-ordering your Bachmann Thomas models, we added a really cool feature over the past 2 months. My cousin has been working really hard on this. He's really tuned in with all the operations, and he's he's the man behind the curtain. I usually go on the shows, but he's really the big success about the operations and getting everything going smoothly over there in our Brooklyn store. But he kind of put together this pre-order portal for people's accounts. So if you have an account at Train World, you can now track all your pre-orders simply separate, and it's separate from all your orders. So if you're looking to see, oh, did I order Henrietta? Did I order Emily? Instead of going through all your orders, you could search. You have it in your own portal, and it just makes things easier. Because I know Christian, you probably forget what you have on order. He's got everything on order.
Oh man!
So it becomes a little tedious of trying to keep track with the notepad. But now he's up to date with his own portal, so we got you going with that. So we're trying to make things easy for our consumers over here, and we think it will be a big help.
Fantastic.
With further ado, Christian, why don't you close it out for tonight?
All right. Thank you so much, everyone from all over the world, for tuning into Thomas Tuesday yet again, February 2024. We'll be back very soon in March 2024. Hopefully, Ken will be the first Tuesday this time.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be back to the first Tuesday. So tune in next month for new reveals by Bachmann. Much more talent from the fandom. And with that, have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.